restore law and order to our country, to give law enforcement the resources, training, and support that they deserve. If you want a president who will cut taxes, grow our economy, squeeze every nickel out of that bloated federal bureaucracy, and repeal Obamacare, lock, stock, and barrel. If you want a president who will upend the status quo in Washington, D.C. and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, I say to you here in Colorado, we have but one choice. That man is ready, this team is ready, and this country is ready for us to go out and work and not rest and not relent until we make Donald Trump the 45th President of the United States of America and make America great again. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. I really do believe it's important that we remind ourselves what we already know. And I can tell you, Donald Trump and I are incredibly grateful for your support. But in the next 98 some odd days, we've got to go out and tell that story to neighbors and friends and help them count the cost. So I hope you leave here better equipped and encouraged and inspired to do that. Now I'd love to know what's on your mind. We've got some microphones. Where are my microphone folks in the room? Slip your hand in the air. I'd love it if you share your first name, and we'll have a conversation and let you all get to the balance of your day. You can start right here with this gentleman. What's your name?
My name is Max.
Hi, Max.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. The last time I was in Indiana, I was actually driving here from New Jersey. And I can tell you that one of the scariest sights I ever saw was the sign that says, "You're now leaving Indiana and welcome to Illinois." You've seen the sign. But for me personally, as someone with a concealed carry license, that's a very real threat to have to disarm before you cross what is essentially an artificial boundary. And I just wanted to ask you, I know that Donald Trump has put this forward in his platform, but I want to know your opinion on a nationwide concealed carry reciprocity.
The right to keep and bear arms is enshrined in the Constitution of the United States of America. Our Supreme Court has affirmed that as an individual right. Donald Trump and I know that firearms in the hands of law-abiding citizens makes our communities more safe, not less safe. We will stand for the right of Americans to carry, the right of Americans to keep and bear arms. I promise you that. From the bottom of my heart. You mentioned Illinois. And, the tale of two states between Illinois and Indiana is remarkable. And they've got a new Republican governor. He is fighting as hard as he can against a big Democrat majority in Springfield. But in the Hoosier State, it's amazing. You look back 10 years ago, Indiana and Illinois were about in the same place. Hundreds of millions of dollars in deficits and in debt. Economies struggling in what people call then, and some do now, the Rust Belt. And taxes were too high, schools had gone unreformed. And literally, Illinois doubled down on the same failed policies that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama had been advancing throughout their career. Indiana went a different direction. I mean, we elected common sense conservative leadership. Since I've been governor, and in my predecessor's administration, we balanced budgets. We eliminated debt. We just reported a few weeks ago the largest budget reserves of surplus in the history of the state of Indiana. And that was after the largest increase in education funding in Indiana history, $2.5 billion we invested in infrastructure, in roads and bridges, the most innovative Medicaid reform in the United States of America. And it was after I've cut taxes every single year that I've been governor. And we now have more than the world that ever before in the 200 years of the state of Indiana. course, with Illinois, the unemployment rate has basically dropped in half since I've been governor, and Illinois has one of the worst economies in the country, literally. The difference between Illinois and Indiana today is the difference between the kind of Democrat policies that Hillary Clinton is advancing and the kind of common sense, strong, conservative, no-nonsense policies that Donald Trump will bring to the White House. And the results will be just the same. Let's go boy to go over. We got a young lady out here with a hand up. Yes, how about right over here? Slide the microphone over here.
Thank you, Governor Pence. I'd like to know what we're
What's your name?
I'm Molly Vogt.
Hey, Molly.
Thank you. I'd like to know what we're going to do about the known terrorists that are in America right now as soon as y'all get into power.
Well, let me just say that I served on the Foreign Affairs Committee for a decade when I was in the Congress. I also served on the Judiciary Committee. And what I can assure you is of two things. Number one, under a Trump administration, you're going to see vigorous law enforcement in this country. And we're going to redouble our efforts to identify and apprehend those who are planning harm against the people of the United States of America who are here. Trust me. But the other thing we are going to do is Donald Trump is going to rebuild the military of the United States of America. We are going to marshal the resources of our allies in the region, and Donald Trump will seek out, confront, and destroy ISIS at its source so they cannot threaten us or inspire those who are threatening our people. I got asked on a television program the other day, they said, well, how are you going to do that? And I said, we know how to do it. This isn't like, hunting for Osama bin Laden in the mountains of Jalalabad. We know where they are. They have what they call a caliphate. We just simply have to have a president who will decide to provide the leadership to confront and destroy those who Yes. Let's slide back here. Where's my microphone person over here? Yeah, right there. We'll go with this in the, he's had it somewhere. Good. Thank you. What's your name?
Yolanda White.
Yolanda, hi.
As long as you were speaking just recently about our military and rebuilding, tomorrow I will be at my son's deployment ceremony. And he's 20 years old, specialist in the Army.
Thanks, Mom.
My question is on that note is, we have to rebuild our military, yes. My son would have been here, so I'm here for him too. He texted me to say, Mom, are you still there? And rules of engagement, trusting our leadership in the military.
Right.
There are a lot of things that have been passed recently without knowledge or input of our military leaders directly, from social issues to their means, simply their means, based on the equipment they have, purchasing their own uniforms, their boots, so we can all go have a cup of coffee freely and voice our opinions freely. It isn't any different than our police officers either. My father is a retired California patrolman as well. So I just want to know, on a personal note too, and I know I'm probably not the only one, but I know that, but for our military who chose to be there. My son's in the Army National Guard. He volunteered for this position of deployment with his unit, Big Red 1 1st Infantry Division. So pray for our military, and please, I'm going with this knowing and trusting yours and Trump's decisions, what they're going to do for our military.
Well, I just want you to text him back before you leave and tell him I said thanks for your service.
Yeah!
Donald Trump is absolutely committed to rebuilding our military after years of being hollowed out. I mean, budget battles in Washington, D.C. have resulted in a military that's struggling in so many ways to provide our soldiers with the resources and the training that they need. And I'm a conservative. I'm a penny pincher. When I was in Congress for 12 years, most of the battles I fought against the big spenders were big spenders in my own party, except about military spending. And I will tell you, whether it was budget deals or there was this deal a few years ago where we essentially said we're going to create a super committee to try and get some control of federal spending. And the penalty they put on that was if they couldn't come to some kind of an agreement to begin to put $19 trillion in debt in order, that they'd have this thing called a sequestration that would result in budget cuts across the board for domestic and military spending. And I got to tell you, everybody voted for that because nobody thought that even Congress would be dumb enough to do that, right? They thought it'd be an incentive for them actually to do their job, but they didn't. And the changes that have been made and the leadership that Donald Trump is going to provide, we're going to restore, rebuild, and strengthen our military so that our soldiers who are deploying, like your courageous son, and the families who are home praying they're through it, can know that the best military in the world has the best support of any nation on earth. I promise you. And let me also say, I've got a daughter here with us today. My niece lives in Denver. She came to visit us. Our daughter just graduated from college. I got another one of the esteemed. But we're right there with you. My son is a United States Marine. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Pete. I'm from Longmont, Colorado, and first of all, hats off to the Secret Service around here and throughout the nation. She stole the delegates. She stole Bernie Sanders' voters. We all know this. Moving forward, my question is, how is the Trump-Pence campaign going to combat this election? We know she's going to steal this election, so my question is, moving forward, how can we prevent that?
It's absolutely, it's a tremendous question, and I will tell you that the Trump campaign and the Republican National Committee are working very, very closely with state governments and the Secretary of States all over the country to ensure ballot integrity. But now is the time. We all here in Colorado and in the state of Indiana, there are people, you can work at the polls, you can be a part of that process. I encourage you to do it, folks. I mean, at the end of the day, elections just come down to who's registered to vote, who comes out to vote, and making sure that the integrity of the ballot, which these soldiers that we just celebrated one of, have fought to ensure in this free and democratic nation, has integrity to it. And so we're working hard all over the country. The Republican National Committee is working hard all over the country. But I would encourage every woman in the sound of my voice, get involved, participate, be a poll worker on election day, early voting where relevant, be a part of that process and uphold the integrity of one person, one vote in America, because I'm confident the American people are going to make their own choice. This guy right here, very impressive.
Thank you.
What's
Thank
your
you,
name?
Mr. Pence. I'm Lester Heimer. I'm the coach of Jefferson County for your campaign.
Boy's got a future.
Thank you. I'm planning on running for president in 2040, so.
That's fine. Good for you, son.
Mr. Pence, I have a question for you. How are you guys going to replace and repeal Common Core for children in this great nation? And also on a side note, it would be an honor to get to speak with you and meet you after you are done.
What's your name again, Weston? Yeah, good, okay. Go Weston. Well, Weston, let me tell you something. I've been a very good school teacher for 31 years. Mrs. Pence spent 25 years. She thinks I still got a lot to learn. Weston, let me tell you though, you really touched on a very important question, and that is the issue of education. You know, when I was first elected to Congress back in 2001, the very first bill that I was handed by a Republican president was called No Child Left Behind. It was the largest increase in the federal Department of Education since Jimmy Carter invented it. Okay? Right? And I was one of, I don't know, about 40 or 50 Republicans in the Congress that voted no, because I believe education is a state and local function that should be driven by the decisions of parents and teachers and administrators in our communities and in our states, and not by bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. In Indiana, we really withdrew from Common Core. We worked on our own standards, curriculum, textbooks. These are decisions that ought to be made at home. And the other thing I believe about education is frankly, there's, and Donald Trump and I are both passionate about this. I'm proud to be from the state that has the largest educational voucher program in America. Donald Trump and I believe that American parents should be able to choose where their children go to school, regardless of their income or area code. School choice is an ideal whose time has come. And Donald Trump will fight for it. And one of you security guys, get Weston back there. I want to say that. How about the young lady in the purple top? We'll have to make this the last one because I've got to run to Colorado Springs. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
What's your name?
My name is Nada Jones, and I'm from Broomfield.
Nathan?
And anyway, my question to you is, how does the campaign plan to reach out to the blacks and the Hispanics?
Well, let me say that the Republican Party was minted on equality of opportunity. Sometimes I love to remind people that Jack Kemp. Some of you may remember Jack Kemp. He was my hero. He became my friend. And I'm a Jack Kemp Republican. Right? Jack would always point out that our very party was minted by someone who believed in equality in this country and fought for it and held the Union together by sheer force of will and saw us through the Civil War. That was the first Republican president. And I truly do believe, and it's important to remember that. That's the core of the identity of our party. And I think our message to Latinos, Hispanics, to African Americans, to people in every different community in this country is the same, is to believe that whatever your race or creed in this nation, you want safe streets. You want a nation that is secure and free from the threat of terrorism. Wherever you come from, whatever neighborhood you live in, whatever your family background is, you want a prosperous America. You want to see policies in Washington, D.C. that unleash the full economic potential of this nation. And I think carrying that optimistic view of opportunity for every American, a growing America and a safer America is the message that Donald Trump and I are going to carry all across this country. And I truly do believe that as I travel around the country just in the last few weeks, seeing the diversity of people that are coming out to our rallies, I know that message is resonating because people are identifying with the candor and the strong leadership that Donald Trump is providing. But we're going to work our hearts out. We're going to be out in communities. Just a few weeks ago, before I got the phone call, I was out walking neighborhood streets with a group of African-American pastors in Indianapolis, just going door to door in a neighborhood group that literally walks the streets of some of the toughest neighborhoods in Indianapolis and has made an incredible difference in encouraging people and encouraging safe streets. So I promise you, our campaign is going to go to every community. We're going to reach out to every family in this nation, and it's going to be a message that we're going to make America great again with opportunities for all in this country. I promise you. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you for being here today. But let me leave you here today. I hope this has been an encouragement. I mean, just hearing Weston speak was encouraging. But I hope here today you leave better equipped, but I also hope you have a burden on your heart. I hope if you've heard something today, whether it was an inspiring parent who stood up about a son that will deploy with our brothers tomorrow, or whether it be anything that I've shared with you about this good man who I believe is going to be our next president, leave here and share that message. Because all of the noise in the media, and boy, there's a lot of it, right? All the noise in the media, all the discussions in the push-me-pull-you days of politics in America doesn't count a fraction of what a friend telling a friend, a neighbor telling a neighbor, a coworker telling a coworker that says, you know what, I went out, I met Mike and Karen, I saw them, and I was reminded what the stakes in this election are and the need for this nation to have strong leadership at home and abroad. And just look your friends right in the eye here in Denver, Colorado, and all across the state and say, we got to bring this state home to make America great again. Let's go get it.